Good afternoon, welcome as always to our Redemptorist home here in Liverpool, and my Thursday message is going out a little bit earlier today because I'm running to a slightly different timetable. Rather than scramble across to Chester today for the organ recital, I'm going to go to the Philharmonic this evening for Brahms's Fourth Symphony. I'm looking forward to that. People very kindly again have given me vouchers for the Philharmonic, so I'm well looked after, and I'm very grateful to again, to all those of you who've marked these recent occasions, my leaving, I'm concluding my time at St Mary's, the fact that Andrew and I also marked up 60 years as Redemptorists just over a week ago, or exactly a week ago, come to think of it, and so on. And so thank you again for your thoughtfulness and your encouragement and your generosity. I am grateful, as you know. I'm just thinking about the remarkable things that are going on at the moment. The Pope has welcomed on a state visit to the Vatican today King Charles. This really is a momentous thing, isn't it? Quite remarkable. The first time since the Reformation that the King of England will have prayed with the Pope. And it's a reminder that there is still a lot of goodwill. There are a lot of people struggling to make this a better world, to recognise the power of Christ's presence with us, and his message still rings out as a beacon of hope in our troubled world. And of course history is so important. Do you know, when I was a child at school, I really found history terribly difficult. I don't think it was taught to us very imaginatively. There are some wonderful teachers around these days. I'm sure there were in those days, but anyway, it seemed to me that all we were expected to do was remember dates and so on. And we didn't see, or at least we weren't helped to see, how history has moulded the world into the place it is today, and how we now create our own history. So I do feel much more interested in history, and even locally I'm aware that we're coming up to some significant jubilees next year. I noticed a message saying that St Julie's, our local Notre Dame school, is celebrating 175 years next year with a special mass in the cathedral. And that got me thinking. The Redemptorists and the Notre Dame sisters very much part and parcel of one another's history, because way back in the 1840s, when the Redemptorists first came to England, and then we settled in Clapham, and indeed, they brought the Notre Dame sisters over to look after the children, to teach in the schools. And a little bit later than that, the De La Salle brothers, who had to get out of France, were given hospitality by the Redemptorists. And my old school, in fact, began in Clapham, and then moved on and eventually ended up in Norwood. So there we are. I love to see these connections now, and I can see how history moulded and shaped the world in which I live, in which all of us live. And we all have our own different histories. And we look again at how the Lord has touched the lives of people and helped us to mould that history. And so today, as I see the crucifix behind me again, how often do I draw attention to the crucifix at baptisms, at funerals? All the time we recognise that this is the message, that in the midst of all this suffering, there is this beacon of hope. Christ, who entered into the suffering, has transformed it. And here we are, please God, among those who are striving to do all we can to bring this message, to bring this reconciliation and hope to our troubled world. So let's thank God for all the good things that are going on, and let's look for ways in which we can celebrate together, because that celebration is caught up, of course, in the mystery of Christ himself. He celebrated with his disciples, celebrated above all the great feasts, the Jewish feasts, and of course it was in the celebration of the Passover that he gave us the Eucharist, and here is the ultimate celebration which binds us together, and which I've been working on so determinedly this term with the primary school. It just struck me now that I've been working with 4 of the different years, so just 3 to go for the second half of this term. So by Christmas, all the parents will have had my letter. And so far so good. I haven't had any adverse reaction, at least that I know of, and a number of people expressing gratitude and working with it. And so I feel there is something really emerging, and I feel hopeful and grateful. And so that really is my message today. Let's thank God for what's going on in Rome, for what's going on in our own lives. Let's enjoy the half term that's coming up next week. I feel it's kind of a little watershed for me. I've been doing quite a lot of clearing out in terms of history, looking back on the recent history. I realised that there's a whole table in my office where I just haven't had the heart to even look at what needed sorting out. But I have this week, with Hayley away, I decided I really must do something about my office, and I think by the time she comes back I will have it looking pristinely tidy, even if quite a number of things are still tucked away in drawers that need sorting out. But there was a table, and in fact I didn't realise that it went right back to the pandemic. There were letters there dated 2020, which I hadn't sorted out, and quite a bit of the stuff, of course, has had to be put through the shredder and so on. But anyway, I'm pleased with myself. I feel that I've made some progress this week, and hopefully, I think once you get things tidy a bit, you can begin to focus on what needs doing. So I'm really quite pleased that I've managed to use the time well. So there we are. I hope you too have had a blessed week, and that you will have a good week next week, especially if you are on half term next week, to the staff and pupils of our schools. So let's continue to ask God's blessing, especially on this wonderful day, or these 2 days, with the state visit of our royal family to the Vatican. There's a very powerful message there, a message of hope, message of reconciliation, first time since the Reformation. Well, let's thank God for that, and let's continue to beg the prayers of the saints, especially the patron saints of England, our own Redemptorist patron saints, and of course we always turn to our Blessed Lady and ask her to be with us in our prayer today. So I end with a Hail, Holy Queen. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, hail our life, our sweetness and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this vale of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary. May the Lord bless you, fill you with his peace, strengthen you with the gifts of his Spirit, and watch over you and protect you from all harm. Amen.